What if the Earth were to be kicked from the solar system? That is the interesting question that we will look into today's video, which promises to keep you on the edge of your seat. From mind-bending theories to mind-blowing discoveries, join us as we explore the cutting edge of science and push the boundaries of your understanding. First things first, let's talk about what it means to be kicked out. There are a few different ways that something like this may take place. There is a potential that Earth may be ejected from its orbit and into deep space if it was involved in a collision with a planet that has gone rogue or a huge asteroid. There's also the possibility that the Sun could experience a catastrophic event, such as a supernova, which would cause shockwaves to travel across the solar system and push the Earth from its orbit. What would take place then in the event that the Earth was suddenly expelled from the solar system? To begin, it is important to recognize that the Sun's light and the heat would no longer reach Earth, which would be the first major change. Because of this, temperatures on the globe would drop, and within a few short days, ice would cover every inch on the planet's surface. This would have catastrophic consequences for life on Earth. The vast majority of plants and animals would not be able to endure such extreme freezing temperatures, which would cause the food chain to become disrupted. Eventually, all life on Earth would perish. But that's not the end of it. If the Earth continued its orbit farther from the Sun, its protective magnetic field would vanish along with it. Without this field, which protects us from the potentially lethal radiation coming from the Sun, we would be subject to the bombardment of lethal cosmic rays. This radiation would not only be dangerous to people, but it would also cause damage to the ozone layer, which protects us from the harmful effects of ultraviolet radiation. Even if it were the worst possible scenario, the Earth would be vulnerable to collisions with asteroids and comets. Without the gravitational influence of Jupiter, which normally helps to deflect many of these celestial bodies away from Earth, we would be at risk of being hit by space rocks. In normal circumstances, Jupiter's gravitational pull helps to deflect many of these objects away from Earth. If Earth were expelled from the solar system, it's reasonable to state that all forms of life on Earth would be rendered entirely extinct. The question is, what about the rest of the planets in the solar system? How would our departure affect the other planets? It has been discovered that the Earth plays a significant part in maintaining the balance of the solar system. Because of its gravity, the other planets are able to remain in their orbits. Nevertheless, if it were removed, the entire solar system would become unstable. It would be particularly difficult to maintain order on the outer planets, such as Uranus and Neptune in this scenario. These planets are located at such a great distance from the Sun that they must rely on the gravitational pull of neighboring planets in order to keep their orbit stable. They would be pushed off course without the Earth's gravity to hold them in check, and it's possible that their moons would be released into space as a result. In addition to this, the asteroid belt that lies between Mars and Jupiter would be impacted. Asteroids, without the gravitational pull of Earth, would be free to wander into new orbits, increasing the possibility that they would collide with one another and give rise to new planets or moons. It seems to reason that the impact of Earth's ejection from the Sun's orbit would be felt much beyond the confines of our immediate cosmic neighborhood. If the Sun were to lose one of its planets, the fragile balance of the Milky Way galaxy as a whole would be thrown off. If the Earth were expelled from the solar system, what consequences would it have for our species, the human race? To answer this question in a nutshell, no, we would not be able to survive. Our whole life is based on the conditions currently existing on our planet, and if those conditions were to change, we would not be able to make the necessary adjustments fast enough to continue our existence. On the other hand, this scenario does bring up some interesting questions regarding to the origin of life in the universe. If we were to find a planet that had been expelled from its own solar system, would it still be possible for life to be on that world? It is not impossible by any means. There are creatures that can survive and even thrive in very harsh environments, such as the bacteria that inhabit Yellowstone National Park's hot springs. These species are found all over the planet. Therefore, it is not impossible for life to be on rogue planets. On the other hand, the likelihood of such life becoming intelligent or technologically advanced like humans is extremely low. Also, the search for life on rogue planets is significantly more difficult. This is something that should be taken into consideration. At this time, scientists use a variety of techniques to identify exoplanets. Some of these techniques include studying the gravitational wobble of a star produced by the planet's orbit, or detecting the transit of a planet in front of its star. However, if a planet is not circling a star and is instead freely moving through space, it would be far more difficult to find because it would neither be passing in front of a star nor will it be transiting behind one. I would like to remind you to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel for more fascinating content like this. Now, let's bring it down to earth, shall we? Is there anything that could be done to stop something as awful as this from taking place? The good news is that within our lifetime there is a very little risk that Earth will be kicked out from the solar system. The possibility of this happening is quite low. For anything like this to occur, an extremely unusual and significant cosmic event would have to take place first. On the other hand, this does not imply that we shouldn't be taking measures to preserve our world from other dangers, such as strikes from asteroids or climate change. We have the information and the technology to take action and reduce the hazards. But it will need a united front from individuals, organizations and governments all across the world to do this. In point of fact, it is not just about safeguarding our home planet, rather it is also about voyaging into space and coming across uncharted lands. As we continue to investigate our own solar system and look for planets outside of it, we are gaining more and more knowledge regarding the possibility of existing beyond Earth. Who can say for sure what additional mysteries and discoveries are waiting for us out there in the depths of space? In conclusion, while the idea of the Earth being kicked out from the solar system is exciting and terrible, the chance of this really happening is extremely low. However, it does highlight the importance of taking action to protect our planet from other threats and exploring the universe to better understand our place in it. So, let's continue to look to the stars with wonder and curiosity. After all, you have no idea what we could find next. If this was interesting to you, your next video should be this one. Thank you for watching and keep exploring.